Welcome to Carmen's Kitchen. Today we're making a gluten-free orange and almond cake with a little twist. Hi, it's Carmen from Drifter Thrifters. Today we're going to make a flourless orange and almond cake. I'm going to finish it with a Grand Marnier syrup, which I've just got on at the moment. So I've just done a bit of preparation so that you can see that once you've got all the ingredients, it's pretty easy to put together. I don't have a hand mixer or a mixer, so I'll be doing everything by hand, which will take a little bit of time. And we will get to it. So, first of all, our ingredients, we've got 250 grams of unsalted butter, and I've just softened it, so I'm just kind of trying to beat it. The next thing we're going to add to that is 250 grams of caster sugar. Make sure we get all that goodness of sugar out. And what we've got to do, we've just got to cream this. So if you've got an electric beater or a mixer, I would recommend using those because it's a lot less effort.
What happened to yours?
Mine blew up.
Right after you talked about how
great it was.
How great it was and all the years of service it had given.
Very old.
And then she plugged it in and then there was a puff of black smoke.
Actually got it second hand from an auction, and yeah.
So someone's saving up her credit card points for...
I'm going to get a new mixer. Probably going to go for a Kenwood again because the last one served me very well. It did have a lot of attachments, but I don't think I need, I'm not going to be making my own sausages or...
What sort of mixing style is that?
This is just trying to... No, this is just beating, basically. So you want to get it fairly creamy or, mixed in. I'm going to start adding the other ingredients because otherwise I'll be there forever. So the next ingredients that we're going to add, so we've got 250 grams of unsalted butter, 250 grams of plain caster sugar. We've got 6 eggs and we're separating the eggs. So we're going to add the egg yolks.
They look very orange, Carmen. Where are they from?
They're from our chickens who are no longer freeloaders.
Now we're getting like 6 a day.
Yeah, we got 6 yesterday, 2 the day before, 5 the day before that. So now that the weather's changed and it's quite warm, they're all about laying the eggs. I haven't checked this morning, but I'll go over and check later today. So we're just going to beat the egg yolks in. This is a gluten-free mix. Gluten-free is quite a popular health kick for people, although gluten-free food is typically not very healthy. Now, this recipe is quite an old recipe actually. The recipe that I have, there's no flour in it. The almond meal and the whipped egg whites are what we're going to use as the raising agent, or the egg whites as the raising agent. Alright, that looks pretty good. So all those eggs are mixed in. So that was 6 egg yolks. The next step, baking powder, almonds and orange pulp. So last night I actually boiled some oranges. So you just want to make sure that you take out that, or take off that little end where it has the part that's attached to the tree. And we're just going to cut that into a few pieces, and I'm just going to put it with my food processor. Thankfully I have a new food processor, bar mix type contraption. Sorry, I'm just going to make a little bit of noise so that orange will be blitzed up. And this is what gives the flavour. Okay. What I was saying before is that the recipe that I have is quite an old recipe where we didn't have gluten-free flours and things like that in the past. Where now it's quite readily available in the supermarket. Okay, so we're going to add some of the almond meal. So this is just ground almonds, and they're blanched almonds, so no skin on them. And we're going to add, I think it's 2 tablespoons, just double check. 1 tablespoon of baking powder. That obviously helps the rise as well. We're going to add some orange pulp to that. So this is the pureed orange that we've made.
Skin and all.
Skin all. Now we've used the oranges that we've used are Navel oranges, because typically Navel oranges don't have seeds. But if you do have like Seville oranges or Valencia, they'll have seeds in them. So when you boil the oranges till they become quite soft. So I boiled them last night for around an hour. But if you are using some of those other varieties of oranges, it's a good idea when you cut them to make sure that you pull out any seeds, because you don't want to puree seeds because they're very bitter. Okay, bit more almond meal. Tap tap, get the last bit of that. Okay, the other ingredient that I add, which isn't in the original recipe that I've had for 15 odd years, is some Grand Marnier, which is an orange liqueur. So I'm just going to add a good splash of that. So I just try and mix that in really well. It smells really delicious. If you like a really strong orange flavour, add an extra orange. Just means that you'll probably need a little bit of extra almond meal because of the moisture. Okay, so that's the basic mix. Now the next step is, and I've done it in advance, is to beat your egg whites till they become a stiff peak. So stiff peak is basically when you lift it up. Just give it a bit more of a mix. When you lift it up and they stay up, and there's no folding over, that's what we call a stiff peak. Whoops. So when you're folding in egg whites, the easiest thing to do, don't put it all in at once. Add a little bit, fold it in. That makes the mixture a little bit lighter and easier to fold in the next lot. So the baking powder and the egg whites are what's going to give this cake a little bit of rise. It's a very dense cake. So it will keep in the fridge for at least 5 days. Okay, so you can see that that's become quite light. We're going to add the rest of our egg whites in there now. If you're enjoying the recipes, I mean, this is only number 2. What did we do the first time, Nate?
Like a lasagna or
we
something.
did a frittata, a pastryless quiche. If you do want us to do more recipes, and or, you know, me to do more recipes or cooking activities, just comment below. Tell me what you think, how I can improve, because I haven't done very many of these. So just folding in these egg whites. So just folding. Now that that's all folded, you don't want to overfold it, otherwise you'll knock a lot of air out of the mixture. So I'm going to make, usually this mix would make 1 cake. I'm just going to spread it out and make a couple of smaller cakes as well. big cake. Just going to spread it out in the pan. You don't want to tap the cake down because then you will be knocking out all that air. And if you don't have a beater and you've had to beat those eggs by hand to fold in those egg whites, it would be such a shame.
So when do you tap it down? Is that when you're making
No,
like
you don't tap it
No,
down.
no.
Oh.
What sort of cakes?
So
if you're making like a mud cake or something.
Anything that doesn't have air folded in, so not for a sponge. So you can tap it down.
You see that quite often is when people make cakes, they do that, they pick up the whole thing and...
Yeah, and that's just to knock any air out of it. But the problem is that because we've whipped all those egg whites, we don't want to do that. So we're just about ready to put these in the oven. 200 degrees Celsius, which is 450 Fahrenheit. And they'll go in the oven for around 50 to 60 minutes. Check them about halfway through cooking and you might be able to turn them depending on how your oven cooks. If you're on gas, definitely turn them as they're cooking. Alright, so our cake is looking very good. It's been in for an hour. Oops. Okay. Now, it's quite brown on the top, but that's how they are. Now, the other thing I'm going to do, I made up a concoction of 100 grams of white caster sugar and probably a nip of Contro and 100 mils of water. So I've turned that into a sugar syrup. I'm just going to pour that over the top, which will give the cake a really nice glaze and it'll soak in and provide the cake with a really, really moist finish. So, one that we had earlier, there we go. So just decorated with some orange segments. And